According to the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, at the heart of this new horizon is UK's total trade with Africa, which was valued at £42.3 billion back in 2019, with South Africa, Nigeria, and Egypt among the top African importers of UK goods and services. I'm discussing this now with Bolaji Sofoluwe. She's the Group Managing Director at ETK Group, and she's live here with me in the studios in Lagos. Good to have you this evening, madam.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you so much. Let's have this conversation. Again, give me some context on UK's latest export strategy, looking at £1 trillion. That's highly ambitious.
It is.
And Africa is right at the center of that.
Yes, we call it the race to 1 trillion.
£1 trillion.
Yes, absolutely. And it's an aggressive strategy for UK exports to sort of close that widening deficit since Brexit. And a lot of people think that this strategy is moving beyond Brexit to free the UK to trade with other global markets. So the push towards Africa is driven by the fact that the UK used to be a huge trading partner with the continent. Obviously, we have historical ties with the UK. And so the objective is to strengthen those ties and look beyond the exports that Africa has the export-import relationship that they've had with Africa in the past. And I think that's, the change that they've made here is that financing is at the heart of this strategy. So it's actually quite different from the way it used to be.
But again, at the heart of the strategy, you talked about what makes Africa an attractive market for UK businesses. What's in Africa? I shouldn't be asking that question, but tell me.
Everything is in Africa. And I think it's going beyond the traditional trade of raw materials. They're now beginning to see
cocoa, whatever,
oil and the rest of it. They're now looking at the diversification in various African economies, where culture is taking center stage. The creatives are taking center stage. Technology, innovation is taking center stage. And so they're realizing that this is a more sophisticated market to trade with, as well as the fact that 60% of the African population is below the age of 30. So we have a youthful population as well. So this is the attractiveness for Africa.
And they're targeting that population also as an export market.
Oh, absolutely, because this population, as countries commercialize and industrialize, there is more purchasing power. And so obviously you have a bigger market to sell to. And most of this market, as I said, is the young people, and the middle class is growing in certain markets as well. So obviously it is an attractive market.
So based on your expertise and experience, what advice would you offer African businesses looking to increase their exports to the UK market?
So one of the things I would say is tap into the Growth Gateway program. The UK has actually created a program called Growth Gateway, and it's been established by the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, which is different from the Department for Business and Trade, which usually deals with exports. But the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office is trying to increase that two-way street. So rather than just exporting to Africa, they're looking to support businesses in Africa
to also export
import so that UK businesses can import to the UK. So this is their core objective. So if you tap into that, you get free advice on how to export to the UK. You get tariff advice as well, so you know whether your goods fall within the tariff. There are over 3,000 tariff-free products that you can export to the UK at this point.
Wow.
Yes.
1,000?
3,000.
I need a long list. But here we are. We're having this conversation in Nigeria, but of course it spreads across Kenya, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, all the way to Southern African region and the Central African Republic. So if you're looking at African economies, how do we complement and enhance the diversification of the UK's export destination? What does the UK really want?
That's a very good question. Now, this is the thing about trade. The reason why we trade is differences in resources, differences in economies of scale, and all of the differences in technology. So what Africa needs to do, particularly on the platform of the free trade area, is come together and decide what they're going to use as their USP, and then decide what would be best to trade, to use as leverage to trade with the rest of the world. And there needs to be that coming together, that meeting of minds. Of course, the rest of the world treats Africa as a homogeneous market. We know that this is an error in several ways. However, with the Free Trade Area Agreement in Africa, there is an opportunity for us to pool our resources and promote Africa PLC.
Yeah, but again, I'm sure you were listening in the other room to earlier guest, Professor Ken Ife, about the Joe Biden's new diaspora, Africa Diaspora Council, looking to leverage Africans in the United States, putting them together across sports, entertainment, investment, trade, whatever, together to begin to advise and warm up a whole lot more in a new direction for Africa. And I'm happy you mentioned that the UK is also looking at culture, entertainment, and sports and all that from Africa. So what did you pick up from there?
I found it very interesting, extremely fascinating that they would actually be tapping into the diaspora, because it's an extremely good move. And migration has actually changed trade patterns, because now what you find is that because there are people in Western countries, East Asia, Pan-Africa, you find that there's actually increased trade activity, because you trade naturally with the country that you're from to start with. And so this is what is increasing trade volume. So I find it really interesting. Now, the UK government has an export champion scheme where British businesses are selected to promote and to sell, again, made in Britain products. But what that means is that they've also been able to diversify that group of British businesses to now include diaspora. So ETK Group is actually one of those export champions, and we promote trade between Africa and the UK. And you know what it has done is that they can now use our sort of experiences to enrich the trade policy. You know,
you're the handmaiden.
You can say that.
You're the handmaiden between the UK and Nigeria and Africa, in a manner of speaking. Are there specific sectors you're looking at? Because again, when you talk about exports for African business trying to the UK, there are a couple of challenges. So do you think there are strategies that you bring into the table? Your ETK Group, for example, is helping Africans businesses to resolve in order to make that very good entry to the UK, which is a whole lot more developed market in terms of whether they are finished products, value-added products, or raw materials, as the case may be.
Absolutely, and this is one of the reasons I'm in Lagos today. You know, our team here in Nigeria has put together a program for some of our businesses, our clients, and new clients, to describe how we can support them in their export journeys and how we can help them access new markets. Because not everyone is going to get on the shelves of the big supermarkets, and not everyone is going to be able to sell to the big supermarkets, you know, whether that's commodities, fresh fruit and vegetable, flowers, etc., which are the tariff-free goods at the moment. But we in the UK, yes. But we can actually use the UK as a stepping stone and a starting point to the rest of Europe. Yes, there's been Brexit, but it does sort of open the channels of communication for for Nigerian goods and services. So we're here to talk about things like compliance and regulation and how they can enter the market safely and how they can then start to promote their products in the country as well.
That would be really interesting. Do you think the dynamics of global trade is changing? You talk about Brexit, but again, you have offered other developments such as the Russia-Ukraine war. Finally.
Massively. It's shifting massively. As a matter of fact, I think economists are running after the trends in a way that they've never had to do before, because it's not the status quo has not continued anymore. Things are changing. And one of the things that is changing rapidly is the fact that supply chains are shifting as well. People are nearshoring a little bit more since what happened when China shut down. You can imagine.
Yes.
Whole industries were at a standstill. So now they're looking at countries like Morocco to situate factories because it's closer
so the European
Europe.
Automakers,
exactly.
Dozens of them are in Morocco already. We need to position ourselves as well in Nigeria. But it's nice having you here this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Coming here, the Group Managing Director, Bolaji Sofoluwe, the Managing Director at ETK Group in Lagos, and making this appearance here on our Stage.